Here you go. So you were. What was the story behind it? Which?
Hands away from the mouth. Go ahead now, ask.
What was the story behind it? Like which war?
Vietnam.
Like okay.
Yeah.
And then you were in the war for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
In this case, what inspired or led you to join the military, and how did you feel about it at the time?
Okay. What inspired me? I lived in a one-horse town. Okay, I was 17 years old. Right off the farm. I worked and lived on a dairy farm. Okay. There wasn't much to do where I lived at that time. Okay. Not much for teenagers to do except maybe buy a keg of beer, run down the farmer's field, have a party, and that's about it. So once I seen, when I was in high school, the recruiters used to come right in and what was it, the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and the Air Force, all of them, different kinds. They talked to the senior boys. And once I seen the Marine Corps uniform, I thought, wow, that's pretty sharp. So that kind of hooked me on the Marine Corps. Plus the traditions.
Gotcha. All right, question 2. Where were you stationed during the Vietnam War, and what was your role?
I was stationed. I did 2 separate combat tours in South Vietnam. I was combat infantry. Spent a little time in recon, where you just go out and try to find them. You don't engage, but try to gauge how many enemy are in the area. Okay, and then come back and let the forces go out and take care of that. So, I was in what this is important, okay, in what you call I-Corps area, which was the northern part of South Vietnam, okay, in the jungles, Central Highlands.
All right. 3. What was your first day like in Vietnam?
What was my first time?
Your first day in Vietnam. What was your first day like in Vietnam?
My first day?
Yes.
Coming.
In Vietnam.
Oh, that was torture. We landed in July in January 1966. It was called China Beach. And we went swimming. And I got the most beautiful sunburn you've ever seen in my life. And at that time, I could be court-martialed for that because being sunburnt was destruction of government property. You are government property when you're in the military. So I had to go on patrol with a pack, with sunburn. It wasn't fun for the first month I was there.
Number 4, what was daily life like during the war?
Daily life all depended on what you were doing. Okay. If you were back in the battalion area, it was okay, because then you could get hot chow, you could see a movie, get a cold drink, okay. You can get a beer. If you were out in the jungles, okay, which was about a 3-month tour, okay, and then you come back to battalion. What you had was sea rations, Halazone water, malaria pills, and VC. Is it?
Number 5. How did you and others around you cope with the fear, uncertainty, or homesickness?
Homesickness?
Yeah.
Homesickness is horrible. I didn't get it while I was there, but I'll tell you when I did get it, right after boot camp and when I went to ITR, before I went to Vietnam, I got a little homesick, yes. But in Vietnam, you didn't have time to be homesick. That left you off guard. You didn't want to do that. So, yeah.
Right. Number 6. Were there any specific events or missions that still, like, you still remember?
Well, we got overrun in February of '67. What happened was, here's the way it was set up. You had a battalion area, okay, which had what they call a territory of responsibility. Big area, okay, that's our battalion area. Then you had companies. There's 3 companies in a battalion, and they had territory responsibilities within the big, okay? And there's 3 platoons in a company, and each platoon had a smaller area of responsibility. So we were due to go back to a battalion, okay, for what they called at that time battalion R&R, because to get hot chow and movies and all that stuff. But K Company or Kilo Company was late getting to us, and they didn't want to go back because they already knew that the economy mined the roads on the way back before they even started back. So we had 2 platoons in our company area or our platoon area that night, and we got hit by a reinforced battalion of the Viet Cong. Okay. Out of I'm saying 70 Marines, 12 of us walked out. I was one of them. So that's still here.
Right. How did you communicate with family or people back home? What was it like?
Mail.
Mail.
All you mail. You didn't have to pay. All you had, write letters, put it in an envelope, boom, boom. You wouldn't put your address on it, just FPO, whatever, Fleet Marine Force, and then you just write free for the stamp, and away it went. You didn't have to pay for any mail. So that's the way we communicated. I did call my wife. We weren't married then, but I did an R&R to Singapore, and when I was in R&R, I called her. I did call her. Yeah.
All right. How were soldiers treated when they returned from Vietnam?
That's a very interesting question. On my first tour back, I was treated like the hometown hero. On my second tour back, nobody even wanted to know me. I just flip-flop in that period of time, okay? Everybody's saying, what the hell did you go there for, It wasn't a choice, I was sent back.
All right. What were your thoughts on the anti-war protests that were happening in the U.S. at the time?
The what?
What were your thoughts on the anti-war protests that were happening in the U.S. at the time?
Okay. I really didn't. Well, while I was in, I had no idea about it. Okay. After I got out, because I got out in 1969, the protests were still going on. Shit was really flying over there then too. I just hid. Nobody knew I was a Vietnam vet. Nobody. Just her, a few close friends. That's it. So I hid for 30 years, 35 years. I didn't want the confrontation because I know what I'd lose my shit and that'd be it. You know.
But, do you feel like the war changed how you see the world or your place in it?
That's a difficult question. How would I see the war? Say that again.
Do you feel like the war changed how you see the world or your place in it?
It definitely changed the world. Okay. That war did change a lot of things.
How long did you need for teams? I thought for 6 originally.
My place in it? I would say, to a point, yeah. As I've become older and have studied the war, I actually spoke in high schools, but I don't speak to juniors and seniors about the war. As I've gotten older, my trying to think of the word. Perception. Okay. Perception of that war has changed. Number one, we should have never been there in the first place. Ever. We shouldn't have been there. Okay. It was politics, all screwed up, to save face probably from Korea, because Korea is right up the block from Vietnam. And we backed a very very corrupt South Vietnam government. We did. Wasn't a good time in our history. We lost a lot of good people. Over 58,000 died over there. By the way, they're still dying.
Are we having a conference?
Vietnam veterans are still dying from that war. It's called Agent Orange.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Okay, yes. It's called Agent Orange. It's still out. Still. Okay. You want to see something left over from Vietnam?
What?
Look at my right leg.
Ooh. I never noticed that before.
Yeah. Most people don't. That's from being wet all the time. Either in rice paddies or in the jungle in monsoon seasons. This is mine. I can't give it to anybody. I had it on both legs. This leg is not as bad as this one. Yep, that's left over. And one other piece. Come closer. See it?
Yeah.
That's a piece of shrapnel.
Hmm.
wounded up this side from a grenade. This is the only piece I felt until I tried to get up. That didn't work. It's like a hit in the knee. And if you notice, the different size, this knee and this knee, see how much swelled up? This is always swelled up from arthritis now. But I'm still here. And I refuse to die until some people graduate from high school and college.
I'll do my best.
Okay. I'll try my best too.
Alright. Number 11. How has your service shaped your life afterward?
What?
How did your service in the war shape your life afterwards? Like emotionally, mentally, and professionally as well.
You know what? That's a very good question. Because I spent 40 years doing what I was doing professionally. Okay? I was what they call a stationary engineer. I worked on huge boilers. Okay? And most of that was done with very few people around, which I like. That's part of my post-traumatic stress type thing. Okay? I learned that years ago. I had a few episodes years ago, okay, that changed my perspective about a lot of things. But all in all, I've had a pretty good life. You're looking at one of them, okay? You are going with one of the best things in my life, okay? So.
Alright. Number 12. After the war, did you really share any of your experiences with other people? Or
No.
Okay.
No. I hid for 30 some years. Took me a long time to come out. And that didn't happen. That did not happen until I went on my first Rolling Thunder run in Washington, D.C. Okay. The first time I went to the wall. And I'm not joking. When I went to that wall, I went right to my knees crying. They call it the wall of heels, and it does. It just does. You gotta face up to it. Got a lot of friends on that wall. Some of them right from here in North Carolina. One of them from Matthews, North Carolina, which is outside of Charlotte. His name was Raymond Samuel Orr. Blue-black. He was blue-black. That's how black he was. Great guy. Just a great guy. We used to bust his ass all the time. Be night time, see. So we called him Sammy. Sammy, smile. We gotta know where the hell you're at. You know. And we used to, especially at night when we did night ambushes, we always had camouflage paint. We painted him right up because he shined. Not good.
Right. Number 13. What is something you wish people understood better about the Vietnam War or the people who served in it?
People who didn't serve stood up.
Yeah, what is something that you wish people understood better about the war or about the people that served in the war?
Okay. Everybody that served in country in that war was in the military. Okay? When you're in the military, you follow orders. Period. There's no questions asked. You follow your orders from command. Civilians I have no idea what that's like. You don't.
Almost empty sunscreens, so we just finish them. And the very last day, my he finished on this leg and my chest and my arms. And then
Maybe
I only had 30 left.
in police departments,
Okay, that's fine, I'll just have to reapply it more.
yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go get my.
But the average civilian
Forgot, and I took 30.
don't understand
So I did reapply it one time, but not enough. My entire
what
leg
following orders
broke
means.
the last day.
That's right in the oath that you take when you join the military.
I just figured like, okay, I finished the video, but I'll turn on raw.
That's what
And I forgot.
what I couldn't understand when I got out, because I was doing what I was told to be do. Okay, I was doing my job,
Yeah, the whole
To the
way
best of my
around,
ability.
not one sunburn.
so
It was hot. Especially because in New Jersey, it was in the 40s.
I didn't question it.
It was cold. Cold. You had a very cold.
Number 14. If you could speak to people, just younger people today, about the war and service and stuff like that, or just in general war and service, what message would you give them?
What message would I give to them?
Yes. About war and military service and stuff like that.
Like 85 degrees.
I'm 78 years old. I've lived through 2 wars. I was young, too young for Korea, of course, but I remember the Korean War. And made it through Vietnam and seen different actions of our military since then. I don't understand. I still don't understand. Okay, because it's not. It seems like the people who rise to power want to control everything. Okay, and I still don't understand. After being alive this long, why we insist on killing one another without provocation. Of course, if somebody broke into my home, they wouldn't break out. But I'm not at war with them. Wars never ever, I've heard this I don't know how many times, wars never ever determine who is right, only who is left. That's it. This thing with Hamas and Israel, those people have been fighting for 10,000 years, for Christ's sakes. You can't get over it? You know? I stand with Israel, always have. So, we stuck our nose in there, and I don't think we aren't going to solve it. They haven't been able to solve it in 10,000
Looking
times.
at these.
Why are we involved?
No, I was just curious, because I was looking how these.
Was that the last question?
That was the last one?
Okay. Well, hope you got enough information.
Good. Thank you.
Good.